Perfect, thank you. What? Really?
Welcome inside the Al Roker studio as we are just a half an hour away from tip-off of men's basketball season for 2023-2024, and what better way to get it started than with the Max Ziel Invitational Tournament. But first, like I say, it's the pregame show. We're here in the Al Roker studio just across the street from the Max Ziel Gymnasium. I'm Jacob Bradley, joined by Kyle Spizak and Brian Burrows. And gentlemen, it is basketball season here in Oswego.
Yeah, I mean, winter sports started a couple weeks ago, hockey getting their first games in Oswego, but now it's the big boys, basketball.
It is.
The national tournament contestants last year.
Yeah, some people think this might be a hockey school, but the basketball team has a lot more success. They went real deep last year, and they're looking to repeat this year.
Absolutely. It's going to be interesting to see how these teams get in there. But, of course, with the tournament, we've got 4 teams coming to Oswego. It is Keuka. It is RPI, which will be your first broadcast here today. And then, of course, the main event later on, we have SUNY Poly and the Oswego State Lakers coming at you. So, guys, just real quick, let's break down some of these games here in this tournament. Let's start with the game coming at you first, RPI and Keuka. Kyle, I'll get started with you. Two teams. RPI coming off of a very solid season last year.
Yeah, I mean, RPI last year, 19-9 in the overall season, 11-7 in conference. So only losing 2 non-conference games, and given this tournament is all non-conference games.
Right.
So given if they can keep that record going that they had last year against non-conference opponents, RPI's in a pretty decent spot right now. And they're going into his 9th year as head coach, Mark Gilbride. He said that, quote, "This is a deep and talented freshman class for the Engineers this season."
And Brian, I'm going to transition over to you with the Wolves. Out of the 4 teams that are here this weekend, the weakest record of the 4, but still this Wolves team, a lot of things to go off of.
Yeah, they had an okay season last year, just 8-15, 4-14 in the Empire 8. They were 8th in the Empire 8 last year, but they do return Devin Milton, who was all Empire 8 second team, a 20 per game scorer, definitely can lead this team deep this year. Potentially, it just isn't this tournament.
Absolutely. Just one thing to mention. RPI 2-0 in neutral games. Of course, this is the home of the Lakers, so it will be a neutral game for these teams. But how about the second game coming at me? Speaking of those Lakers, Oswego State takes the court for the first time of the season, and they take on SUNY Poly in your second game of the broadcast here today. We'll start, Kyle. I'll start with you. How about this time, Burrows? We'll talk about the Lakers a little bit. 20-3. I mean, it doesn't get too much better. A NCAA tournament appearance all the way to the Elite Eight, including knocking off the reigning champion.
Yeah, they had an excellent year last year. I mean, it was expected, but I don't think it was nearly that expected. You say,
right.
What a record last year, 28-3, 17-1 in the SUNYAC, just 1 loss to Brockport in the conference last year. They made it to the National Elite Eight. You mentioned knocking off Randolph-Macon, the reigning national champs, who had just 1 loss at home in the last 3 years. They did it on their home court as well.
Absolutely. Kyle, SUNY Poly, 13-13. They're a young team. They're looking to build off a 500 record last year.
Yeah, I mean, 500 records, not the worst place to start off of. It could be way worse. You could be under that 500 mark. So they have some momentum to start building on. They are losing their leading scorer, who also was getting 8.74 boards per game. So that's going to be a big loss. But Chickney Torrey coming in with 13 points a game, he's going to be expected to take a bigger role for the Wildcats this season.
Absolutely. Speaking of Oswego and the SUNYAC as a whole, we didn't even talk about the fact that the Lakers are the reigning SUNYAC champions, but the rest of the SUNYAC does look very solid. Of course, we saw teams like New Paltz in there, teams like Cortland, teams like Brockport, Brian. So just overall, this conference, it's gotten deeper throughout just the times that we've all been here.
Yeah, the Lakers are projected favorites again, but you mentioned Brockport definitely gave them the Lakers the run for their money last year. They were the one team that knocked them off in play. They kept it close in both games. New Paltz always a fight, and as well as Cortland, though they did lose Austin Grunder. The SUNYAC is a very deep concept. It gets better and better every year.
And of course, the Lakers, Kyle, were on top of that last year.
Yeah, they were. With a 17-1 record in conference play, they almost swept the conference. I mean, you can't ask for a much better season than that, other than going perfect in conference play. But with going into this season 17-1, they want to keep going again this season. Brockport 14-4 last year and Cortland 13-5. So a lot of the teams are very close to each other. The Lakers had that edge last season, and 11 players returning this year. You can expect them to keep that edge and actually grow upon it. Absolutely.
We talked a little about the future. Let's take a look into the past with the last year's stats for the Lakers. Just among the SUNYAC's couple things to throw out there. Softball for you guys to take over. First in points per game, the highest field goal percentage, and the highest three-point field goal shooting percentage as well for this Lakers team. Absolutely a weapon on offense for the Lakers last year.
Yeah, the Lakers at 83 points per game as well as 63 points against. They were one of the best scoring teams in the country and one of the best defensive teams in the country. Their score margin of 19-7. I mean, outscoring opponents by 20 a game on average. That's ridiculously good.
Absolutely. Kyle?
Yeah, and I mean, Devin Green from behind the three-point line was a .457 last year, shooting almost 50% from the three-point line. That's unheard of. And then, of course, Sparks 17.4 average points per game, and then Green with 13.7. They score by committee. They have a good roster that's really able to move the ball around with 15 assists per game.
Absolutely. A lot of expectations for this Lakers team. When we come back on the other side of the break, we're going to hear from the coach's perspective and from the player's perspective about those expectations. All this is coming up on the other side.
If you need to do something to feel okay to drive, you're not okay to drive. Don't drive buzzed.
Shine on that boy. Look at the bling. Look at do we got a diamond tester on?
Yeah, that's getting bad. Yep.
10 out of 10
recommend on Yelp.
We scored? Yeah, we scored. We're going to the playoffs. I can't believe I missed that. Every time I'm buzzed, I spend too much time on my phone. What? I should take your phone away. No. I'll call for a ride. Wait, why does my face look like that?
I'm playing with these new face filters.
Okay, you know what? Yep, that's mine.
I'm gonna need that back.
No.
Kevin!
Welcome back inside the Outworker Studios. We get closer and closer to tip-off for the start of 2023-2024 men's basketball season with RPI and Keuka. But first, it's the pregame show. Jacob Bradley, Kyle Spizak, and Brian Burrows. Like this little action we got here. I'm in the middle for once. We don't really get that. Usually I'm on one of the ends. But we welcome you back in here. We talked a little bit before the break about some of the expectations for this Lakers team. A lot of big expectations for these guys out there in the green and gold. And one of the people that's got all the expectations on him in the world is none other than head coach Jason Leone. So we sat down with Coach Leone to get his opinion on what the expectations are going to be. Let's take a look.
I expect us to play like a really veteran group that we are. We've got a lot of guys that played in a lot of these openers, you know. So these guys have been a joy to coach. They've been here. You know, our core group has been here for 4, 5, 6 years. I'm excited for them. So this is a very connected group. So outside of the fact that we've been very successful and we're very talented, the thing that I enjoy about the team the most is how connected we are.
And Kylie talks a little bit about that connection that he feels amongst the guys in the locker room. Already, I mean, just that expectation of having the connection. Talk to me as a former athlete yourself, how important that is to have that sort of connection.
I mean, yeah, really, especially when you have a team that, like he mentioned, a lot of them have been together for 3-4 years now. They've been playing with each other for a lot of seasons. So you really get to know each other. You spend a lot of time, whether it's trips on traveling to games on the bus or you live with your teammates, you really spend all your time immersed in that team culture, and that builds you up, and it kind of helps you help each other out. You learn when your teammate's struggling, how to boost them up, and really just know each other and where they're going to be without even communicating that beforehand.
Absolutely. And Brian, another thing that Coach Leone mentioned was the core group of guys that he has in this team. We saw Julian Crittenden's coming back for another year. Jeremiah Sparks, Jamal Achille, just a handful of this senior core. How important is it to have that core?
Oh, it's incredibly important. They're returning 4 or 5 starters. I mean, the loss of Devin Green is going to be big, but they're going to replace him very easily. Coach Leone is a great recruiter.
Absolutely, and we'll talk a little bit more about those recruits. But first, we sat down with Jamal Achille to get kind of the players' side of some of those expectations.
Obviously, we have high expectations, but you got to treat it. You got to take it day by day. You can't just rush to the postseason. Right? It's a long season. I learned that from last year. So taking it day by day, one game at a time, and the results are going to be the results.
I want to kind of go back to that senior core that we were just kind of talking about there before we heard from Jamal and Brian. Jamal, a big factor of this senior core. So talk to me a little bit about some of those seniors and exactly how important they're going to be to this team's success.
Yeah, you mentioned Jamal. There's also Jeremiah Sparks and Cartier Bowman.
Yeah.
All seniors. They are so ingrained in the culture of this team. They're going to be such integral factors of both bringing those young players in as well as leading the team on the scoring side as well and defensively. They're going to be huge players. And you mentioned also the long season there. He knows that they went so deep last year. They had extra long season because of the national tournament.
And that is, I like the point that you just made right there, Brian. Kyle, I'm going to kind of volley that point over to you. The depth this team has is incredible. They can go 5, 6, sometimes even 7 deep on the bench. How important is that just when you go into the long season, like Achilles said?
I mean, that's the most important part of it all. To be able to have a bench that you can spread the minutes out throughout it, so you're not putting too much on your star player. You see in the NBA a lot, load management on star players now, because it is a game that is very demanding on the body, especially the knees and the lower body. So if you, any time that you can get your star players off, give them a little bit of rest, let their body recoup, that is essential for long season drives.
Absolutely. We're going to throw it to a quick break. On the other side, we're going to send you over to the Max Ziel. We're going to talk to the guys in the booth, and they're going to give you their players to watch. All this and more coming up on the other side of the break.
Say, President Stanley, whenever there's bad weather, who would you turn to?
I'd turn to Storm Team 10.
No,
right
but you've
here.
got to say it like this. Storm Team 10. Say it with me. Storm Team 10.
Roll it.
Jill told me it was Kitty from Glee. Yeah, what is it?
Al Roker.
Tip-off is just around the corner, but first we welcome you back inside the Al Roker studio for the pregame show. I'm going to go this way this time. Brian Burrows and Kyle Spizak. I'm Jacob Bradley. And we're not the only three that you're going to see on the broadcast here today. So let's send it over to the Max Ziel Gymnasium where we're going to hear from Lucas McGarry and Garrett Chan, the Dapper Yappers. They're going to give us their players to watch. Let's take a look over there. Take it away, boys.
Unmuted over there.
2024 SUNY basketball season. Garrett Chan alongside Luke McGarry. And Luke, basketball is officially here. How pumped are you for that?
I'm so pumped. I love college basketball. Honestly, I might say I love college basketball more than I love the NBA. There's just a certain feel about college basketball. I'm almost the same age as some of these kids, so it just feels great watching college basketball. It's such a fun game.
As the guys mentioned, we have four games over the next 2 days, starting with today. So let's go into the players to watch. As we go around these 4 teams, Luke, who are you looking at?
For RPI, I'm really looking at Avery Eugster. Last year, he had a 48%. He shot 48% from the field, which was the highest on his team. Averaged 10 points a game, and he looked great all of last season. And he's a leader now. He's a senior, and I'm really excited for him to get ready and going.
That's certainly great to hear. For my player watch from the Keuka College Wolves, I got number 4, the graduate guard, Devin Milton, named to the second team All-Empire 8 Conference with a 46.3 field goal percentage, a 35% range from beyond the arc. So he certainly has that shooting capabilities, and from the free throw line.
Oh, yeah, absolutely.
Of course, when you have that type of player that's aggressive in the lane, he's going to draw contact, he's going to draw fouls. 85% from free throws. That's also
big.
a great stat to
big.
watch, and he's just very effective for the Keuka College Wolves. Expect him to have another great season as we kick off what will be a very exciting campaign. Before we got another game to watch today between Oswego State Lakers and the SUNY Poly Wildcats. The player I'll be watching for the Wildcats is number 14, Dylan Ernst, the junior forward, average over a block per game, which was actually good for top 5 in the North Athletic Conference. A guy that has size, a guy that's very intimidating in the paint. I expect him to have much more contribution. Did not have the minutes last season in terms of being out there on the floor with his players, but I expect him to have a much larger role as the season progresses.
Oh, yeah,
now,
absolutely.
Luke, it's time for you to kind of wrap things up. You got the Oswego State Lakers, your player to watch. They came off a great season, 28-3, won the SUNYAC championship. What is that one player you see on that roster that you're watching?
Honestly, everyone wants to say Jeremiah Sparks, but I'm going to go with forward number 21, Cartier Bowman. He looked so good last year, especially in the SUNYAC tournament. He was crucial for the team. He averaged 10 points per game last year, and I'm really excited to see what he can do, and I think that he's just going to have a really great tournament.
We talked about the players. We'll see how all these players, for Luke and I, how they fare on the next 2 days of contests. But this is not only voices you will be hearing. You will throw it down to our silent reporter, Brian DeMuro, who will talk about the coaches for both teams here this afternoon.
Thanks, guys. Tonight we got a matchup between 4 different teams, all with some really prestigious head coaches, or some coaches trying to make their mark. In this first game with RPI against Keuka, we got Coach Mark Gilbride for RPI. He led his team to a Sweet 16 bid in 2021, looking to build upon that success. And for Keuka, fourth-year coach Jake Scott, looking to find his ground here in Division III basketball. He's only accumulated 13 wins in his first 3 seasons, trying to get on the right track here in 2023. Heading on to the second game of the doubleheader tonight between the Oswego State Lakers and the SUNY Poly Wildcats. For the Wildcats, it's Rob Schoner heading the team into his 10th season, a 59% win percentage for him. His team has made his conference championship in 6 of their last 7 games, looking to build upon that tonight against a very tough Oswego State team headed by Coach Leone. He's got an overall win percentage of 74%. He also led his team to the Elite 8 last year in NCAA tournament. This guy is the winningest coach in Oswego State history. Wants to build on that tonight. We're going to head it back to the booth. Here to Garrett.
Thank you, Brian, for an amazing sideline hit. But after this break, we'll throw it back to the guys in the studio. Jacob, Brian, and Kyle will provide you their picks for the next 2 days of the Maxio tournament. You're watching basketball, the start of the basketball season, right here on WTOP 10.
Hey there, I'm Al Roker, class of 76. Yes, way back in 76. Back when the earth was cooling. You're watching WTOP.
The Kind of Late Show with Chloe and Anna. Like licorice, Twizzlers, absolutely nasty. The thought of turkey is just nauseating.
I think you're wrong, is what I think.
You think I'm wrong a lot of times.
I do think you're wrong a lot.
When you look at the number of disasters in the U.S., chances are every area will deal with some kind of emergency in the next decade. And between school, sports, and social lives, chances are you won't be with your kids when it happens. Will they know what to do? Ready.gov/kids has the educational tools and information to make the conversation easy. When the time comes, chances are they'll feel prepared, not scared. So talk with your family today.
Put the keys down, Kevin.
But I'm gonna drive home.
There are several warning signs present that you shouldn't be driving.
I guess I have really been looking for love in this dating app. Yep, I'm definitely gonna call a ride home.
We're about 10 minutes away from tip-off between RPI and Keuka. But first, we're welcoming back in here. We want to say a full thank you over to Brian DeMoro, Garrett Chan, and Lucas McGarry, who are going to bring you the in-game coverage. But we're here for the pregame show and the intermission reports. Jacob Bradley, Brian Burrows, Kyle Spizak here. And guys, we have a little bit of a fun thing coming up here. We're going to have some fun over here in the Outroker studio. We're going to talk about some of our slam dunk players. And let's kick things right off with Brian Burrows. This is going to be just a general player over around the tournament that you're looking at that's going to be a huge impact. So, Brian, take it away.
Give me Sheiknei Torre, I think that's how you say his name, from Keuka, or from SUNY Poly, excuse me. 12-point game scorer last year, but the biggest reason I'm picking him is because they lost Jesse Odell, a first-team All-NAC player, was a 15-per-game scorer and an 8-per-game rebounder. He is no longer there. So I'm giving Sheiknei Torre the leading scorer, second highest scorer from the team last year. I believe he's going to step up in a big way for this team. He's going to be the leading scorer this year. He could even lead this team into some really big wins throughout the entire season.
Ooh, Kyle?
I mean, my pick's going to be pretty basic. It's what everyone expects it to be. I'm going with Jeremiah Allen, because, I mean, realistically, how can you not? He scored 35 points against UW Whitewater, the team who would then go on to just advance past them in the tournament in the Elite Eight. But still, 35 points in an Elite Eight game, fifth team All-American, according to D3 Hoops, first team All-Conference, and he's coming back for his senior year, 17.4 points a game. I mean, that's the safest pick you can go with, and I'm going with that.
You mean Sparks?
I do.
Okay, Jeremiah Sparks. There we go. Got to clarify. Just wanted to make sure. All right, now I'm going to go to mine. Mine is my man Johnny Angbazo from RPI, and we kind of talked a little about him earlier. He finished second on the team in points per game last year. Of course, the senior Don Brown graduated, but now here we are with Johnny Angbazo. One of the big things that sticks out to me, you see the 43% field goal percentage down below, but also he finished with around 61% from the free throw line. A little bit of misconceiving number because in the last 5 games, I'm going to rip it off to you. 3 for 4 from the line, 4 for 6, 6 for 6, 3 for 4, and 8 for 10. So majority of his points per game, which is around 12.3, come from the free throw line. So you're going to want to keep him off the line because he's starting to get significantly better from the charity stripe. So putting him on the line isn't going to be the right move for Keuka here tonight, guys.
No.
Not at all. There we go. The banter is off the chain. We come into now our picks here tonight. We're going to start with our first game of the day, RPI and Keuka. And I'm feeling hot after my Johnny Angbazo take, so I'm going to throw out my first one here before I get to you guys. 68-53 RPI. I'm taking the victory. RPI just looked like a stronger team last year. Finished with a higher record, made it all the way to their conference final, fell short in overtime. So I'm taking this team to start off the right way against Keuka.
And, you know, I'm gonna go with the underdog in this one. I'm gonna go with Keuka, 69-62 or 61 over RPI. I can't even get my own numbers right out here. It's a rough day out here for numbers. But I mean, they were averaging 71 points a game. Their average points per game is over RPI's. How can RPI's defense hold up against Keuka's offense? That will be what we find out in this game. But I'm taking Keuka.
Brian?
I'm going with you, Jake. I'm going RPI 76-62. I know they only scored 63 points per game last year, but I really think a big step is coming this one. Keuka defense, not the best. The RPI defense is 57 per game last year. I really think they're returning some big players. I mean, they're losing Don Black, a Defensive Player of the Year candidate, but you mentioned Johnny Angbazo, Avery Euster, who is Lucas's guy.
Yeah.
Big players to come back. I do think 76-62 will be the score for this one.
Absolutely. Let's move into the second game of today's doubleheader, and that would be Oswego versus SUNY Poly. I'll again get the ball rolling here, no pun intended. Oswego 85, Poly 62. Oswego only 3 losses last year, all the way to the Elite 8. Just a dominant team. They're playing a tournament that they have historically won and done pretty well in the start of the year. So I'm taking Oswego to book their ticket to the Max Ziel Invitational Final with a big win over Poly.
And I'm going to shortchange you on this one, Jake.
I know you are.
I'm going with 84-62. The Lakers are going to take this one 1 point off of Jake's. But, I mean, like you said, though, the Lakers just such a dominant offensive team, and Keuka really struggled last season. So the Lakers, with how well they are how overall as a team, 11 returning players. They made it to the Elite Eight last year, ended at number 5 in the nation. It's hard to go against them, and they're going to run away with this one.
You're lucky we're on live television, or else I'd be calling you some names right here. But Brian, who do you got?
Well, I'm going to say a much higher, not a much higher scoring, but a higher scoring game than you guys. 89-65 for the Lakers. Lakers, again, really good scoring team. They return a lot of players who are some of their best scorers. And the Wolves, just not the best defensive team. 77 points per game against last year to just 71 points scored. The Lakers are a very good defensive team. So I think the Lakers are just going to absolutely blow them out in this one, unfortunately.
Well, there you have it. If it's up to us, but it's not up to us. It's up to the guys in the uniforms over at the Ziel Gymnasium. What a pregame show, if I do say so myself. Jacob Bradley, Kyle Spisak, and Brian Burrows over here. But we're going to get right into the action here, because we're going to send it over to the Ziel Gymnasium with Lucas McGarry and Garrett Chan, and they'll take you all the way through the action, and then you'll get to see our faces again during the intermission report. But thank you guys for joining, and enjoy the game coming up.
Welcome back to Major Discussions.
Did you know dragging chains can spark a wildfire?
Only you can prevent wildfires.
When I was in foster care, I never knew when I would have to move. So I always had my suitcase ready to go. Then one day, I was adopted. My new parents opened their hearts and home to me. My parents cook my favorite breakfast for me every morning. My parents take me on trips I never thought I would go on. They gave me a home and an even better reason to use that suitcase. My parents aren't perfect, but they're perfect for me.
Hey there, I'm Al Roker, class of 76. Yes, way back in 76. Back when the earth was cooling. You're watching WTOP.
If you need to do something to feel okay to drive, you're not okay to drive. Don't drive buzzed.
Shine on that boy. Look at the bling. Look at do we got a diamond tester on?
Yeah, that's getting bad. Yep.
10 out of 10 recommend on Yelp.
We're going to the playoffs. I can't believe I missed that. Every time I'm buzzed, I spend too much time on my phone. What? I should take your phone away. No. I'll call for a ride. Hey, why does my face look like that?
I'm playing with these new face filters.
Okay, you know what? Yep, that's mine. I'm gonna need that back. No. Kevin!
If you need to do something to feel okay to drive, you're not okay to drive. Don't drive buzzed.
Shine on that boy. Look at the bling. Look at do we got a diamond tester on?
Yeah, that's getting bad. Yep.
10 out of 10 recommend on Yelp.
We scored? Yeah, we scored. We're going to the playoffs. I can't believe I missed that. Every time I'm buzzed, I spend too much time on my phone. What? I should take your phone away. No. I'll call for a ride. Hey, why does my face look like that?
I'm playing with these new face filters.
Okay, you know what? Yep, that's mine. I'm gonna need that back. No. Kevin!
Ziel Gymnasium in Oswego, New York. WTOP 10 presents Friday evening coverage of men's basketball. We got game one of the Ziel tournament featuring the RPI Engineers playing against the Keuka College Wolves. Garrett Chan alongside Luke McGarry, and we are just seconds away from tip-off. Both teams going through the starting lineups. Luke, what are you looking for from both teams in the opening half?
I'm just looking for fire from both of these teams. I feel like both of them they're going to try and start out hot. Both teams are really going to want to set the pace early on, not just for the game, but for this whole tournament itself, because you win this one, obviously, it's only a 4-team tournament, but I feel like tournaments like this are so important because it's quick, but you're still playing 2 games, so you got to show a little bit more resiliency in that second game. So winning the first game and then maybe even winning it soundly, that's huge going into the second game.
Luke, you made a great point. This is a tournament. Typically when you start the season, you try to go with your in-conference competition, but here you have 4 teams that are competing for the Ziel title, and they're facing against kind of out-of-conference opponents, teams that you don't see or face typically in the regular season. But Luke touched on it. We have 2 games here tonight, starting with the Engineers and the Keuka College Wolves right now. And then at 7:30, the Oswego State Lakers host the SUNY Poly Wildcats for Game 2. The winners of those 2 games will play in the championship game tomorrow at 4 o'clock, while the 2 teams that lost will be playing the consolation game tomorrow at 2 p.m. So I don't want to say a lot is at stake because it's just start of the season, but certainly these 4 teams over tonight and into tomorrow afternoon, they're playing for something much more than just the first 2 games of a regular season.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. I mean, like you said, it's only 2 games, but winning a tournament always feels good, and especially to start the season, that's how you want to start. You want all of that momentum going in, and like you said, they're out-of-conference opponents, so these teams are basically unknown to each other. They don't know each other that well, so this is just about how good each team is, and it really just comes down to talent and how good your team works together, because they don't know their opponents that well. Once you get into SUNY play, or any conference play, you know your opponent kind of well, so it's more difficult tournament because you don't know your opponents that well.
That's right, but the teammates certainly know each other very well. A lot of returning faces from both sides. We start with the Keuka College Wolves. Their starting lineup looks like this. At the guard position, we have Cam Banks, number 4, Devin Milton, the star player on this Wolves team. Then you go down to Will Tehan, Jaden Kesey, and Christian Sage as we are underway inside the Ziel Gymnasium. Game 1 of the Ziel tournament. The RPI Engineers win the tip-off and proceed on their offensive set. A drive to the lane and makes the first basket of the tournament, courtesy of Dylan Matchett, the sophomore guard. And here comes the Wolves trying to respond. A fake there and pulls up for the jumper. Off the rim backboard, and the Engineers move forward. Set here for Deppy, who passes it around the arc. Finds all the way to number 23, PJ Scalisi, who puts up the jumper and makes it. Engineers off to a 4-0 start. Now here comes the Wolves. Dishes it over to number 45, Christian Sage. A shot there by Milton, and it goes too strong. And the Engineers move forward. Here's number 12, Avery Eukster. One of the Eukster brothers makes it in, and RPI off to a strong start.
Yeah, that was my player. That was my player to watch, Avery Eukster, and I'm excited to see how he plays during this whole game. Obviously, he had that fast break right there. Great bucket.
Christian Sage throws it, looking for Milton, and it goes out of bounds. So Keuka College Wolves very shaky within these opening couple of minutes.
Yeah, that's exactly what I was talking about with these two teams. Start off hot, start off fast, and maybe get a lead that the other team can't get back. That's what RPI is trying to do right now.
Scalisi inbounds it to match it. Keuka down 6-0 with 18:37 left in the opening half. Pass inside. Number 11, Johnny Agbazo, the big star on this team. And a three-point shot here. Too strong, and the Keuka College gains the rebound as they drive forward with Milton leading the charge. Drives under the basket, dishes it over to number 25, Jaden Kesey, and a foul is called there.
A little bit more settled down now. Obviously, a laser hot start for the Engineers here, but slowed down. Keuka, they got their stride. They haven't scored a basket yet, but obviously it's gonna fall. And I think now it's just a battle now. It's just really just early start, but now it's even.
Scalisi committing that first foul, and here's Jane Kesey with the free throw. Makes the first. Last season had a 68% free throw percentage. Certainly not bad, but could always improve in that department.
Yep.
18-17 in the opening half left. As he misses the second free throw, and the Engineers up 6-1 here in the opening minutes. Pass inside, finds number 32. Didn't match it. And the Engineers using the big fellas to assert their dominance here in the opening part of this contest. Here's Kesey now, dished over to Milton. Milton finds Sage. Sage drives in, dishes out to Banks. Banks passes it out again, and here comes Sage out to Kesey. Kesey, bounce pass, and it's recovered quickly by Deppy. Now here comes the Engineers driving down the far side. Dishes it inside, working on Keuka defenders. Shot too strong and misses. Bats it out to Scalisi. Here's Deppy now. Dishes it out. Finds inside to Agbazo. Agbazo working in the post. Puts up a reverse layup and draws some contact with an early timeout here for the Keuka Wolves. Just not a great start here.
Yeah, it's really not a good start. It's not what you want to see. Obviously, we're still early. We're not even 3 minutes into this game, but 10-1 lead right off the bat. RPI, they look great. They're moving the ball around so well right now. And Keuka, it honestly looks like they don't have an answer for it. The defense looks a little shaky right now. So I think really what the coach wants to do right here, just settle down. Obviously, first game of the season. You're excited. Everyone's excited. But just settle down and take a breath.
Certainly trying to get those early jitters out.
Yeah, get that. Just settle your defense in, because RPI, they're outplaying them right now. It's as simple as that. Keuka's just being outplayed right now.
You talked about a little bit before, the Engineers, a much bigger team than the Wolves, and you're seeing it right now with the combination of Agbazo, Eukster, Matchett, and Depp just really working in the inside part of the court and inside the paint, and the Wolves don't have a response for that.
Yeah, it's tough for the Wolves. They're doing what they can right now, but obviously, like you just said, RPI, they just got the size. They're muscling in, and they're making it very hard for the Wolves to just defend, really.
10-1 in favor of the Engineers. 17:05 left in the opening half. Here's Milton now. Dishes it out to Martinez. Now over to Banks. Keuka just passing the ball around the perimeter of the court. Here's Sage dishing it out to Banks. Banks puts up and is short on that shot. Ukester all the way to Agbazo. Agbazo drives, blocked away by Milton, and the Wolves recover. Quickly tipped away by Agbazo, but the Wolves continue on their offensive set. Milton driving, tries to find inside Sage. Sage gets a tip on that shot, and the Engineers continue to keep the Wolves down on 1 point.
Yeah, RPI, they just have great defense right now. They've been playing really well.
Dishes it outside to Avery Ukester. Shot goes off the rim, and Wolves come down the court. Banks now driving in, kicks it out. With the shot is Kesey. Here's Milton now from beyond the arc, misses. Engineers with the rebound. Match it to Agbazo. Agbazo coordinating his players on this play. 15:35 left in the opening half. Avery Ukester guarded by Milton. Foul is called there. 15:26 left on the clock. And some substitutions made by the Engineers. Coming off is Ukester, giving way to number 33, Pat White.
A little bit of confusion there from the Engineers, not exactly knowing who they were subbing in for, but they're back at it now.
Match it with the inbounding pass. Lobs it out to Ben Ukester, brother of Avery Ukester. Two Ukester brothers there just checked into the game. Bounce pass to Stewart. And here comes Agbazo. Loses grip of the ball. Calls stoppage of play here.
Yeah, I think honestly early on, the Engineers, they're way quicker than Keuka. Keuka, they seem a little slow right now, but obviously still early. 5 minutes in, not even. But the Engineers, they just look really, really smooth right now. The passing is crisp, the shooting's crisp. They just look good all around.
Beyond shot from the corner, misses rebound, and draws the contact. Agbazo, certainly impressive in these opening minutes. And the Engineers, 12-1 with 15:05 left. Really strong start.
Just like you talked about before, that was an offensive rebound, put back up, foul, and one. The Wolves are just getting bullied right now in the paint, and the Engineers are just a bigger team. And the Wolves, they need to find a way to solve that. But other than that, the Engineers, they look great.
And Balzo banks the and one. Typical of him, 68% free throw percentage last season. Certainly a core offensive piece, second in points and rebounds on the Engineers last season. A core offensive piece here for Engineers. As Sage works, and a stoppage of play is called by the referee. A foul on number 32, Dylan Matchett of the Engineers. Here's Sage now. 14:48 left in the first half. Dishes out to Van Mortel. Milton with the shot. Too strong again. Gets his own rebound, drives, and gets his first points of the game.
That's what the Wolves needed right there. I think that's a good start. That's a good basket right there. I think they need that.
Timeout here called by the Engineers as they'll discuss things over. We talked about Milton, kind of just a core player for the Wolves. Already committed 2 fouls within the first 5.5 minutes of the game and just scored his first points there. Now he's starting to tread that foul trouble. What does he have to do to keep his composure in check?
I think really just he needs to be as careful as possible, but he also can't play too conservative because when you're down 13-3 and there's 14 minutes left in the first half, very quickly down 10, he needs to find that level of still playing well, but also he can't get over aggressive. 2 fouls in. That's not, obviously you don't want that from any of your players, but especially a player like him, you really don't want that. So I think for him, just just a lighter play, but also still got to score baskets like that. That was a great basket right there.
Yeah, certainly a way to keep this Engineers offense. They've been on an incredible run so far, and so Wolves just trying to respond, catch pace in this opening half. So the Engineers will inbound on their offensive half. Ben Eukster finds Matchett over to White. White passes to Engbazo, drives into the lane, puts it up, and a shot there. Banks it home. Number 10, Mason Vandermoor, trying to draw a charge, was unsuccessful. So here comes Sage driving into the lane. No call there.
Yeah, but on the other end of the floor, that was just another example of just the big bodies in the paint. That was bully ball right there. He knocked him over, put the basket in, and that has really been the definition of this whole game. 15-3 early. That's what you want from the Engineers.
Charging foul called on Christian Sage. Now with dock points off the Wolves as the Engineers press forward with White. Pass now with Engbazo coordinating the offense. Out to Depi. Back to Engbazo. Drives in. Misses the layup. And it called foul there. With 13:51 left, the Engineers up 15-3 over the Wolves.
Yeah, good try by Engbazo there. Honestly, I would too. They're being dominant in the paint, like we've already said multiple times. So for him to just run into the paint like that, and they might just have to start fouling because it doesn't really seem like they can stop the offense any other way. So either they find a solution or start doing stuff like that and put the Engineers on the line.
That's right. Engbazo with his second and third free throws of the game so far. Christian Sage of the Wolves comes off and gives way to Easy Pulliam, the senior guard from Altamont, New York. Engbazo makes the second free throw, makes it 17-3 in favor of the Engineers with 13:48 left. Here goes Pulliam. Finds Vandermoortel. Back to Pulliam. Screen set by Vandermoortel. Gets it, puts up a three. Too strong. Rebound there by the Wolves to keep it in their offensive half. Dishes it out to Milton. Milton with a three-point shot. Makes it.
Huge
Milton
shot by
coming
Milton
alive.
There. Huge shot by Milton there. Again, maybe that's what they needed right there. Pick up the offense. I think they just need to try and be quicker than RPI because they're smaller, so I think speed is what they need.
Milton responsible for 5 of the 6 Wolves points. Pass out to Engbazo, who puts up a three and drills it. Engbazo with 12 points here in the first 7.5 minutes of this contest. Vandermoortel dishes it out to Elijah Ellis, excuse me. Good short-range jumper there by Vandermoortel, 20-8 in favor of the Engineers. Engbazo finds Depi, who puts up a three of his own. Rebound and put back. 23, PJ Scalisi. Right place, right time. It's 20-8. 22-8, excuse me. Vandermoortel throws out to Pulliam with a drive into the lane by Elijah Ellis, who kicks it out back. And the strong three is missed. Engbazo with the rebound. Back to Engbazo. Guarded by Pulliam. Over to Depi. Engbazo again with the basketball. Passes into the corner. Inside to Matchett. Oh, misses. Engbazo with the rebound. Tries to kick it out and does. Deep three to beat the shot clock. And makes it. Dylan Matchett from way downtown. And the Wolves call another timeout as they have to just talk things over.
That was a great shot there. Oh my goodness. And what a pass by Engbazo. Got that offensive rebound. Chucked it out to the way outside the three-point line. And the Engineers, they just look great. And especially Engbazo, 12 points already, and he's collected multiple offensive rebounds already, and he looks great so far. And obviously he looks great last year, one of the leading scorers for the team, and he's starting off right where he left last year. So he looks great. The Engineers as a whole look great, and Keuka really needs to find a solution, because if not, this is going to be a rough game for him. They still got a lot of time left just in the first half, and then you still got another half after that. So really got to find a solution here. Hopefully the coach, that's what they're telling him in that huddle.
How apropos with this offensive set. Engbazo and Dylan Matchett, those two coordinating on that offensive set. Dylan Matchett, second on the team last season in three-point field goal percentage, made a huge shot there from way beyond the arc. Goes to show that with the Engineers, they have two stars on this team, and they have supplemental pieces around them as well.
Yeah, absolutely. Like you said, they look great. The whole team as a whole, they're just playing well, and that's what I talked about early. Just like being a team, that's the most important part of a tournament like this. And they just look so fluid. Everything about their passing, their shooting, it all looks great.
That's right. 11:32 left in the opening half between the RPI Engineers and the Keuka College Wolves in Game 1 of the Max Ziel tournament here inside the Max Ziel Gymnasium. As the Wolves now with the ball. We'll go over to Pilliam. Over to Vandermoor, who dishes it off to Ellis. Shot by Green coming into the game. Misses on the three-point attempt. Avery Eugster with the rebound. Here comes number 33, Pat White, driving. Pat White with the ball again. Dishes it out to Deppie. Back to Eugster. Looking for an inside pass. Tipped away by Pilliam. Recovered quickly by Eugster. Kicked it out inside for corner three and makes it. Dylan Matchett, Pat White with that corner three, 28-8 in favor of the Engineers. Here's Matt Creek now with the ball. 10:37 left in this opening half. Deep three there by Vandermoor. Is too strong. With the rebound is Pat White. Match it over to White. Finds it in a corner for the three-point shot and makes it. Big three there by Avery Eugster. A 31-8 lead with 10:09 left in this first half. Here's Pilliam with the floater and makes it. Pilliam with his first points of the game and the season. And as we go through the first 10 minutes of the first half, we've seen it's been all Engineers so far.
Yeah, honestly, it got really ugly for them really fast, and they just need to find a solution for what's going on here.
Short jumper there by Matchett, and he makes it. Matchett recording his 9th points of the game so far. Deep three there by Vandermoor, in and out. Rebound there by Matchett. Back inside is Deppie. Pass inside to Avery Eugster. Puts up a layup. 35-10 as another timeout called by the Keuka College Wolves. But for more on what's happening at court level, we send it down to our sideline reporter, Brian DeMuro, for more on the opening moments of this contest. Brian, what you got?
Hey guys, I'm here with Dan Green, the father of Tyler Green from Keuka College. Dan, your son obviously on this team playing minutes. What do you expect to see from him this year? What are your expectations for this team after, coming into this year? After a not great season last year, what are you looking to see this year?
Well, I expect him just to be a contributor like he was at Kaz. I don't really know. I know that Keuka had a bad, or I should say record-wise an unsuccessful season, but one of the things that drew him to here when Kaz closed was the coaching style is a lot like his high school coach back at Sackett's, and also the business management program with the sports concentration, which is what he's looking to go into. So hopefully he's a humble person. He just wants to come in and contribute and play, about the same as he did last year at Kaz.
Awesome. Well, we appreciate that very much, Dan. That's it for us tonight. For timeout, we're going to head right back up to the booth to Garrett and Lucas.
Thank you, Brian, for that good stuff. As a turnover here by the Wolves, and the Engineers come down the court. Over to Ben Eugster. Ben Eugster working on Banks. Drives, kicks it out to Scalisi. Scalisi with the mid-range shot. Tipped by number 21, Boateng. And it'll be out of bounds. Wolves with the ball.
Yeah, the Engineers, like I said, we've been saying it this whole half. They're outplaying the Wolves, and the offensive boards have been so crucial for them so far, and they put a lot of points and a lot of extra shots back up. Even if they didn't fall, it's just all those offensive boards, they really add up really quick.
Here's Creek, loses possession of the ball for a moment, but regains it over to Kesey, who goes over to Milton. Milton with the three-point shot, too strong again. Ben Eugster with the rebound. 8:22 left in the first half. RPI Engineers 25-point lead in game one of the Max Ziel tournament here. Boateng outside, dishes it out. Eugster, who has backed to Boateng. Drive inside, kicks it out to Eugster, puts up a shot and makes it, extending their lead by 27. Quick three there by Matt Creek is off the mark. Rebound there by Milton. Driving inside, kicks it out to the corner to Tehan. Back out to Creek. Creek. And foul there. Tripped to the falls to the ground is number 25, Jaden Kesey.
I think another thing for the Wolves is that they've had a lot of misses this half. Not a lot has fallen, and it might just be them, might be just unluck for that first half, but not a lot has fallen for them, which is obviously crucial for the score, but there's not a lot either too soft or too hard. They just haven't really found their touch with their shots this half.
Certainly right. It seems like with their shots, they put it up, and sometimes they don't really get those high percentage shots. It's kind of just putting it up, hopefully they're making it. As Sage drives in and makes it, recording his first points of the contest. Boateng on the outside of the arc, guarded by Milton. Drives in on the height mismatch and loses it, and here comes Sage driving down the court. Heads it off to number 20, Tehan. With Sage putting up a shot off the bank and makes it in. 3-point shot for Sage, 5 points for him. The timeouts called things, discuss things over are the Engineers. Second timeout of this half. And so with the Engineers, you kind of just want to keep the Wolves in check, basically. It's that kind of thing where, yes, the Wolves have been struggling offensively, but you don't want to create a huge run for them up 22 with 6:45 left.
Yeah, no, obviously they're not in any trouble right now. 22-point lead, like you just said, but you still don't want to let them creep back into the game. You got a 22-point lead right now. Holding the lead is definitely what you want to do because that's the momentum you want. Like I said, tournament. All you want in a tournament is momentum. You beat a team by 20-plus points, you go into that next game, your opponent, whoever they are, all they're going to be thinking is they beat that team by 20 points. That is huge if they can hold this lead. And the Wolves right now, all they're thinking about, battling, fighting, being nitty and gritty, and trying to get as many points as possible. And maybe they need to change it up on defense, change something up. But I think right now, the Engineers are just far outplaying the Wolves. But the Wolves, they're still in it. They're not out. It's still very early in this game. But definitely some changes need to be made.
And for the Wolves, we talked about how they're just a much smaller team. If you're the head coach for the Wolves, Jake Scott, and you have a large team in the Engineers, how do you defend the bigger guys, and how do you stop them from going on these large runs?
Honestly, what I think it comes down to is speed, because when you're big, you're slower. So what I think the Wolves need to really focus focus on is moving the ball fast, making everything quick so that they get tired, and then that's when you start to creep back into the game.
Hoping to make this game a lot closer as Ben Ukster with the inbound pass to Halloran, who just checked into this game. Avery Ukster, guarded by number 25, Jaden Kesey, kicks it out. Misses on the three-point attempt. Rebound is with Kesey. Banks kicks it out to Milton. Milton drives, kicks it back out to Kesey. Kesey to Milton. Milton to Sage. Sage drives into the paint, puts up a great layup there. 7 points for him, scoring all. This just been on a run right now.
Yeah, he really has been. Last 7 points, I believe. He's been playing great.
Avery Ukster now with the ball, kicks it out to number 23, Scalisi. Inside to Boateng. Boateng worked, defended by Kesey. Gets over the large body, misses on the first shot, but makes it on the second attempt. 5:48 left in the first half, 39-17 in favor of the Engineers. Milton with the ball, loses possession, gets stripped away by number 23, Scalisi.
Once again, it's that offensive board. Shot it, missed it, grabbed it right back, put it back up, and that's just too easy for him. That's why they got so many points. And Keuka, they're just getting bodied in the paint, and it's very crucial for them to really try and limit those offensive boards. I get they're a smaller team, but you have to find some way to limit it.
Sage loses ball for a moment, just throws it, heaves it all the way to Milton. Shot there by Tehan, and drills a three-pointer. His first points of the game. Wolves down 19. Boateng with the ball now, guarded by Kesey. Dishes it over to Ngbazo, who records his 14 points so far with 5:10 left in the first half. Milton, three-point shot here, makes it wide open. Milton finding that three-point stroke, coming alive within the last few minutes.
Yeah, Milton has been the saving grace for the Wolves so far. 10 points, or 8 points already, my apologies, but he's looked great. He's hit a bunch of good shots. He's missed a couple too, but he has really been a big factor for this team so far. And then on the other side, you got Ngbazo. He has just been so dominant in the paint. He's big, he's strong, and they really don't have an answer for him as of right now.
How fitting is that you have Devin Milton for the Wolves, named to the second team All-Empire A Conference, and then on the other side, Johnny Ngbazo, graduate student, named to All-Liberty League second team. So, I mean, these two players are going head-to-head. What's been a very compelling matchup.
Yeah, absolutely.
Milton able to deflect the pass, and here comes the Wolves with Sage leading the charge. Milton with the ball now, working on Ngbazo, back to Sage. Here comes Tehan, draws contact.
That's definitely not what you need right there. Travel, you picked up a little bit of momentum, and then a travel, honestly, it might have just killed all of it. But you got to just bounce back. It's a travel. It's not the biggest deal in the world, but that's really not something, especially when you're down by this much. But they got to just start fighting back here.
4:20 left in the first half. RPI with a commanding 18-point lead. Dishes pass inside. Great stuff there by Depi, recording his first points of the game. Milton working on Depi. Milton goes inside, goes off the foot of Depi, and so Wolves will retain possession.
Yeah, the Engineers, we've said it so many times, they have so many points in the paint this half, and really, I don't know what else there is to say about it, just besides going into that.
Clever play by Sage as he gets it off the back of Ngbazo, tries to get a free basket, instead draws contact and will shoot two.
I think once the half ends, I think Jake Scott, he really needs to take his players in and really find a solution for this in the paint dominance by the Engineers, because as of right now, that is what's going to make them lose this game. But you can always find a solution. Every great coach, they have a solution for every problem in a game. So I think maybe next time out, but definitely at the half, he's really going to put some thought into it, and I think that the Wolves are going to come out strong.
Well, one of the players that the Wolves can be proud of is Christian Sage, who converted it on 2 of his 2 free throws, setting the school record. Was a transfer from Casanova College, came to the Wolves, and he set a school record with 50 free throws made in a single game. He is certainly prolific at the free throw line. Now here's the Engineers. Now Scalisi with the ball, drives inside, kicks it out to match it, short on the three-point attempt, and Abazo commits a foul, tries to go over the back.
Yeah, good try by Bazo there, but definitely was over the back. But again, this just the offensive rebounding. He did get caught there, but stuff like that, you can't have it happen. Even if the foul is getting called, you can't have stuff like that happen because it's just showing that they can do whatever they want in the paint.
First personal foul for Bazo, 5th for the Engineers overall. Tipped away by number 41, Depi. Depi loses possession. Ball comes out of his hand, and the Wolves will return with the basketball.
Yeah, I think right here the Wolves, like I said, I want to see if they can pick up the pace, see if they can tire out this big Engineers team.
Sage from up the point now. Now with Milton in the corner. Back to Sage. Sage retaining possession to number 10, Vandermortel. Sage with a three-point shot, misses off the mark. 3 minutes left in the first half. Three-point shot here by Depi off the rim, and Milton corrals the rebound. Milton over to Sage, back to Milton. Three-point shot of his own, makes it again. Devin Milton has come alive with the last few minutes, making his last 2 three-point shots.
That saving grace, Devin, he has been so great so far, and he's really been the main reason that the Wolves are still in this game.
43-28 lead for the Engineers. Basel with the ball, guarded by Milton. Back to Scalisi. Three-point shot here off the short, very short, by Matchett. Milton with the ball again, steps back, dishes it back over to Vandermortel. Milton inside, misses, draws the contact.
Yeah.
Foul there on number 32, Dylan Matchett.
Great job by Milton there, drawing the contact, and you want to. That's another thing you want to do is try and draw these fouls against the Engineers with that quick style of play. Get into the basket, make them foul you, and then once the game gets later, maybe you have some of these guys start to worry about their fouls. They start playing lighter, and that's exactly what you want.
Dylan Matchett, first personal foul, 6th for the Engineers, as Milton is off the mark there with his first free throw attempt. Milton, 85% free throw percentage last season. Very solid from the line. Missed 0 for 2 there, so not a good set there by Milton. Out open is Avery Eugster for the 3, is off the mark, and Milton corrals a rebound. Over to Sage with his three-point shot of his own, off the mark. Rebound by Angbazo. Milton momentarily strips the ball from Angbazo, but Angbazo recovers and dishes it over to Matchett. Angbazo from the top of the key. Shot fake there by number 41, Depi. Drives inside, draws the contact. Questionable call there by the referees, but nonetheless, Depi will go to the free throw line.
Yeah, the Wolves are not happy with that call. Maybe a little bit light, but you're still drawing contact, and in basketball, contact is going to draw fouls, and that's what he was trying to do there. Smart play.
Vandermortel committing his first team foul, 6th for the Wolves. 1:33 left. The Engineers up 43-28 here in Game 1 of the Max Ziel tournament here in the Max Ziel Gymnasium. Garrett Chan alongside Luke McGarry. What has been a very entertaining contest so far. Engineers kind of just from the jump, asserting their offensive dominance. The Wolves having to battle back from behind the entire.
Yeah, honestly, I like the way the Wolves have played in this back half. They're slowly creeping back. You wouldn't think so, but at one point they were down, I think, by 23, and they're creeping back. They're down by, I believe, 16 right now.
Yeah.
So I think that they can slowly creep back into this game. They're showing it right here, and I think they need to stay crisp, and they need to keep that fast-paced offense, and it looks like it's honestly worked for them so far.
Fast-paced offense. It's Milton with the ball now, guarded by 3 Engineer defenders. Quick pass inside to Tehan, who makes the basket and in. recording his first fifth point of this game. As we approach the final minute mark here of the first half, Engineers with a 14-point lead, leading throughout this entire opening half. And Basel working on Vandermortel. Vandermortel gets a tip at the pass, or at the shot, excuse me. And here comes Green, who finds Sage. Sage with a 3-point shot, short on that attempt. 40 seconds left in the opening half. Milton recollects and drives, makes the basket as number 32, Dylan Macho, is closing in on him. But Devin Milton, 13 points, very proud. Scott to a slow start, but certainly picked it up here.
Yeah, he's been playing great so far. He has really been the reason that the Wolves are slowly creeping back into this game.
Engineers passing it around with Basel guarded by Sage. Matchett throws it out of bounds. It was intended for number 23, Stewart. But the Wolves, with the final 11.1 seconds, will try to close out this first half, trying to make this game a little bit closer.
Yeah, just like that, 12-point game. I think the Wolves really solved that issue in the first part of the half, which was the size of RPI. But I think they've been doing a great job of keeping up that speed on the offense, and they're creeping right back into this game.
Here's Sage driving to the basket. Over to number 10, Vandermortel, who makes a three of his own. And the closing seconds, that'll do it here for the first half between the RPI Engineers and the Keuka College Wolves. RPI up 44-35. Game was as big as a 20-point lead, but Wolves were able to let it down to 9.
I am so impressed by the Wolves in that I think last 10 minutes of the game or so, they played so well. At the first half of the game, or the first 10 minutes of the half, RPI completely dominated. That size was too much for him. Bazo, he was playing out of his mind, and they really had nothing for it. But Jake Scott took his team into a couple timeouts, started talking to the team, and as the seconds ticked down, I realized all of a sudden, 9-point game. End of the half, they were down by 23. Now they're only down by 9. They are fully in this game. Nothing to be sad about in that first half. They really came back and outplayed the Engineers in the back half of the first half.
You talked about kind of the positive momentum the Wolves have right now, going on a huge run to end the first half. But if you're the Engineers, what do you have to do to stave off that huge run?
I think what the Engineers, they really need to what the Wolves had to do at the beginning of the game, just slow down for a second and take a breath and really try and utilize all that size that you have. Slow down the offense. Try and work your bigs in a lot more because they've been going on fast breaks a lot. And what I think they need to do is just slow down the offense a little bit and really just set up those bigs down under.
These two has been a much closer game than I'm sure many of the two of us expected, courtesy of Devin Milton and Johnny Basel, the two stars on their respective teams, putting on a show here tonight. But that does it for us for now here inside the Max U Gymnasium. After this break, we throw it to Jacob Bradley, Kyle Spisak, Brian Burrows for the halftime report right here on WTOP 10.
Say, President Stanley, whenever there's bad weather, who would you turn to?
I'd turn to Storm Team 10.
No, but you've got to say it like this. Storm Team 10. Say it with me. Storm Team 10.
Roll it.
Jill
Should
told
we
me it
tell
was
him?
Kitty from Glee. Yeah, what is it?
It's Al Roker.
Hope you enjoyed your stay over in the Max Ziel Gymnasium. We welcome you back over here into the Al Roker studio. 20 minutes down, 20 minutes to go. But first, it is the intermission report. I'm Jacob Bradley, joined by Kyle Spizak and Brian Burrows. And guys, it was a hot start for RPI. And it became, who would have thought, a lot more closer now that we're here in the intermission. But an amazing run for the Engineers to start the game.
Yeah, the Engineers got out of an incredibly hot start. Excuse me. They didn't seem like Keuka was going to be able to catch them, but Devin Milton started going off late in that first half, and all of a sudden, this is a less than 10-point game.
Yeah, 44-35 is your score. Kyle, run me through a little bit about the first half.
I mean, with 11:41 left to go in the first half, there was an RPI lead of 25-8, and they then extended that lead to 27 points at one point in the game. It's now cut down to a 9-point lead for the Engineers. So Keuka is starting to bring things back, and some really standout players for both teams, as we mentioned, coming back with Keuka. But how about Ngbazo with 12 points in the first 7 minutes of the game, ending the half with 14 points in 15 minutes of play.
What did I say? Keep him off of the free throw line. And they did do just that. He was to the free throw line a couple times, a couple and ones from Johnny Ngbazo. But you mentioned Devin Milton, all right? We talked about him a little bit in the pregame show. That was Garrett's player to watch. He came through big time, coming up big towards the end with a lot of threes. He got the hot hand towards the end of the first half there. Now he gets a little bit, almost like in football when you ice the kicker, you get a little bit of a break here. Do you think that hot hand continues into the second half for Milton?
Yeah, I do too. Just given the eye test, watching him play, he moves so fast around the defenders, between the defenders, good passing, and exceptionally off the ball too. I really don't think this is going to slow down for him. I think he'll just watch whatever film he can get from that first half and be able to read the defense even better next
Absolutely,
time.
Kyle, as I fix my FB, go ahead.
I really think if RPI can shut him down, I think. If they really close home and box him out, don't allow him to be able to move around the court as freely, really close those transportation lanes, close the passing lanes, and if you kind of isolate him on his own, force him to make those plays, although he had been making them in the first half, you can't expect somebody to go an entire 40-minute game isolated, making all the plays on their own. As we take a look at some of the highlights from that first half there, just the three-point line, especially for RPI, they were dominant behind that arc.
Yeah, a lot of early threes for RPI, hence the early run for the Engineers. But like Burrows said, Devin Milton and the boys out there hitting some threes from deep. I mean, there were some deep threes throughout especially the last 10 minutes or so, but it was really almost broken into a half within a half. Well, the first 10 minutes was all RPI, the next 10 minutes was all Keuka.
Yeah, I mean, I agree with you there. It really did. The tide flipped halfway through the first half there. And like you mentioned, the three-pointers, they were getting really aggressive with three-pointers. We were seeing almost Steph Curry range. They were going up to that half-court line, almost pulling up from the Laker logo. And Division III college basketball, not something you see very often. But they went out, they did it, and they were draining them too is the thing. It's not like they were just chucking up shots and it was brick after brick after brick. They were actually making those very contested and difficult shots to make on both sides of the ball.
Absolutely. And Brian, I'm going to go to you about Keuka. We saw them kind of figured out a little bit towards the latter half of the first half, if that makes any sense. But what was going wrong for Keuka in the first half, especially when they got down so early in the game? What was going wrong?
Well, I think in the beginning of that first half, they were trying to put the ball towards the net, get into the paint, and really push the ball that way. And RPI is just a bigger team. They have taller players and stronger players, and it wasn't working for Keuka. They were getting blocked. They weren't getting clean shots off, so they started to go into the perimeter. We saw it with Devin Milton's threes as well as other players. It wasn't just Milton getting off clean threes, and that's when this offense started opening up, and they forced RPI to move to the perimeter, so the inside lanes opened up for Keuka.
Absolutely. And RPI, like we talked about, Kyle, just kind of it switched gears. As Michael Scott said, the turntable certainly turned. And so what went wrong in the second part of the first half for RPI?
I think they just weren't doing as good of a job boxing out in the paint as they were in the first half. I mean, if you took a look at, really paid attention to play in that first half of the first half, that's a tongue twister right there. But if you paid attention to that, really, they were boxing out Keuka. They were getting every rebound that came off of the glass. It was their court, essentially.
Yeah.
Anywhere the ball went, it was in RPI possession. They were stealing the ball. They couldn't get any possession on Keuka's behalf. As the game went on, that kind of started to even out a bit more. Keuka started getting more rebounds of their own. They were able to spread the ball around more. Wasn't as much defensive pressure on them. And as Burrow said, kind of forced RPI out to the perimeter, which opened them those inside lanes where they were able to get easy layups and start crawling back and lower that lead to 9 points. One
of the things that I noticed about Keuka, we're seeing a lot in some of these replays, especially the ones that are favoring the Wolves, is the extra pass. We saw it a lot. I felt like there was multiple times where RPI really wasn't making the extra pass, where maybe they'd hit a guy in the corner and somebody would collapse and they'd take the shot anyways, rather than moving it maybe one spot over to the right. A couple of those passes were missed, Brian, and just in general, Keuka was making those first passes. We're making those extra passes to help set themselves up for a better opportunity to put the ball in the back of the net. Burrows, I'm going to move to you now and talk a little bit about some of the reasons why RPI got off to such a fast start in that game. What really stood out to you from RPI? What was going well and allowing them to get that massive lead to open up the game?
Well, I think it's the same thing that was failing Keuka was helping RPI. They're big men. They were pushing the ball inside, and because they were just that bigger team, they were finding shots open. They weren't having the strong defense inside, and the easy shots were going in, and then they were getting lanes to the basket, and that inside game for them was working really well. And then it's when Keuka forced them to go outside, things started falling apart. Mm-hmm. When you mentioned they're not making the extra pass, that's when things started going bad, because they have to go back inside in the second half if they really want to push this run again like they did in the first half.
Absolutely. They're a drive-first team, and RPI and Keuka kind of plugged the hole a little bit and wasn't going to let RPI drive. Hence why I think we saw a little bit of the lead switch. But like Burrows said, a lot of size and a lot of threes RPI has really relied on that, and partial of it worked, partial of it didn't, Kyle, and now we've got a little bit more of a closer game.
Yeah, I mean, really just have to kind of figure out what works for you, and they have a couple of minutes at halftime. Really just sit down, readjust. Obviously, Keuka, they took quite a few timeouts in that first half. They were able to use those timeouts to readjust. RPI now has to use this halftime, really reevaluate what has been going on, what changes Keuka made that were able to shut them down, such as Burrow said, pushing it out and forcing the three-pointer. If their coach can sit down, figure out ways to kind of break the defense and find ways to get guys moving around, open up those lanes, get guys inside towards the net where you can just do that extra pass, get that bounce pass in, easy layup. I think if they're able to do that, RPI is going to start running away with it again because they are just the bigger and faster team.
Absolutely. Last year was any preview into what this year was going to be, they were the better team last year as well. Keuka sticking right in at Devin Milton, 13 points at the half for the Wolves. He's led the way, but I'm going to put you guys in the locker rooms, all right? I'm going to put you in Keuka's locker room. I'm going to put you in RPI's locker room. What are we talking about in those locker rooms as we get set for the second half? Colin, we'll start with you.
Feed the hot hand. Just keep going up the middle and have him run everything to start it, obviously. You're going to trust him to take the shot more than anyone else on the team. He's the leading point scorer. He was last year. He is again this year, and he is in this game. So you want to keep feeding the hot hand. You want to keep his confidence up. And the second his confidence starts dipping down, that's when you're going to start seeing a little bit of crumbling. So if you can run it through him, not necessarily just have him take those shots, but have him be the playmaker. Have him find those open lanes to get that first pass going to start the play. Utilize it through him, and I think that's how they'll get the ball rolling.
Feed the hot hand. Burrows, what do you think?
I think for RPI, it's slow down a little bit. They started moving pretty fast. And you saw Keuka start picking passing lanes as well. Slow down, get back to their game plan, get back the ball inside, and that's really when they're going to thrive.
Absolutely. We're going to have to see if both teams were listening to our two analysts here. But we're going to send it back over to the Ziel for the second half, and then you'll catch us for the post-game/pre-game show for the Oswego and SUNY Poly game coming up at 7:30. But thank you for watching the Intermission Report. We're going to send you back over to the Ziel for the second half between RPI and Keuka coming up after the break.
Hey there, I'm Al Roker, class of 76. Yes, way back in 76. Back when the earth was cooling. You're watching WTOP.
The Candlelight Show with Chloe and Anna. Like licorice, Twizzlers, absolutely nasty. The thought of turkey is just nauseating.
I think you're wrong, is what I think.
You think I'm wrong a lot of times.
I do think you're wrong a lot.
When you look at the number of disasters in the U.S., chances are every area will deal with some kind of emergency in the next decade. And between school, sports, and social lives, chances are you won't be with your kids when it happens. Will they know what to do? Ready.gov/kids has the educational tools and information to make the conversation easy. When the time comes, chances are they'll feel prepared, not scared. So talk with your family today.
Put the keys down, Kevin. But I'm gonna drive home. There are several warning signs present that you shouldn't be driving. I guess I have really been looking for love in this dating app. Yep, I'm definitely gonna call a ride home.
Welcome back inside the Max Ziel Gymnasium for Game 1 of the Max Ziel tournament here between the RPI Engineers and the Keuka College Wolves. Garrett Chan alongside Luke McGarry, and as we approach the start of the second half, we saw the Wolves go off that a huge run courtesy of Devin Milton, who so far has been smooth and minty like Colgate toothpaste.
Yeah, they absolutely have been. The Wolves, they looked so clean at the end of that half. They were so quick. Their passes were really precise. And what I almost feel like I might have called it. I might have manifested it for Jake Scott, because I wanted the Wolves to be a little bit quicker, faster, tire out the RPI Engineers. And that's exactly what they did. RPI, they have those bigs, and so that's why they dominated right at the beginning. You're fresh. But as the half goes on, you get tired. You're big men. They get tired. They're bigger dudes. And when you got a smaller team, the Wolves, they just took advantage of that. And I think that in this half, you want to realize that right off the bat. And I think speed is their ally. It is their best ally.
And Mark Gilbride for the Engineers, you know, you kind of saw them get a little bit on their heels a little bit. You saw a lot of the big guys start to slow down. They start to open up those pass lanes that the Wolves took advantage of. But you got to be really happy with what Engbazo has contributed to this offensive team.
Yeah, absolutely. Engbazo, he has looked so dominant in the paint. Offensive boards galore, second chance points. He had a 3. He looked so good. And honestly, I was really intrigued by the one-on-one matchup between him and Milton. They were on each other the whole half. I'm really excited to see them play up on each other again.
We'll see what it's in store for this second half. Of course, once again, Max Ziel Tournament. This is Game 1 of 4. As we have one more here tonight between Oswego State Lakers and the SUNY Poly Wildcats starting at 7 p.m. The winner of those two contests will face in the championship game tomorrow night at 7 p.m. and a consolation game before that starting at 4 p.m. So we'll see here between Engineers and the Wolves who will come out here in this final 20 minutes.
Yeah, I'm really excited for this half. I want to see how the Wolves, they adapt. And they were adapting in that half, but I really want to see how they contribute that adaptation. And I want to see how the RPI Engineers bounce back after a slow end of the half.
Here's Sage rolling around behind the back, dribble all the way out to Banks. Back to Milton. Out to Sage. Sage drives into the lane and puts up a great layup and opening points here in the second half, courtesy of Tristan Sage. Wolves now down by 7. They were down as much as 23, have made it down to only single digits here as PJ Scalise, Dylan Matchett try to best the Wolves here in the second half. Kicked it out to Deppy, who was stripped away by Milton, and here comes Milton now. Pass forward, Milton slows down and resets. Dishes it out to Sage. Banks over to Milton. Out to Kesey. Now here comes Banks now. Over to Sage. Back to Kesey. Kesey dishes it out to the corner. Puts up a 3 over the rim, and so the Engineers will come out the other way. Match it with the rebound. Finds number 41, Deppy, in the paint. Draws a contact, and the N1. Big set there by the Engineers.
Right off the bat, Engineers showing their dominance in the paint. I like to see it. That is exactly what you want after a slow end of the half. Huge, huge and one right there. And the Engineers, they can take this and run with it if they want to.
Kesey with his first personal foul committed in this contest. Wasn't able to convert on the and one was Deppy, and here comes Banks now for the Wolves. Over to Milton, who drives, dish out in the corner over to Sage. Here's Milton now, working on Eugster. Out to Tehan, who drives inside, draws some contact, no call there by the referee. And Engineers will come forward, led by Matchett. Out to Scalise, back to Matchett, guard inside. Over to Engbazo, who has 14 points in this game, and will get, and that basket, I believe, will be called back.
Yeah, I think that was a charging foul. I believe that was a charging foul. But yeah, Engbazo a little bit too pushy there, and the ref didn't like it, gave it to the Wolves, and Engbazo with his second foul.
Engbazo, as you said, charging foul there. 46-37 in favor of the Engineers, 17:50 left in this contest. Here Sage now drives and makes the layup. Now it's back down to a 7-point game. Sage, 13 points. Team lead with his partner Milton. As the Engineers try to respond. Engbazo called for and a jump ball is called by the referee. Engbazo going up for the shot there, and it'll be called back.
Yeah, that was great passing right there by the Engineers, and got it to Engbazo. Got it blocked a little bit, but still great passing right there.
Over to Engbazo, who just puts up a shot off the backboard and in. His 16 points for him. Here's Banks now, over to Sage. Sage with a 3-point shot. Quick stroke and makes it in. 16 points for Sage. Now it's a 6-point contest with 17:10 left in this game. Engbazo now, guarded by Sage. Dishes it out to Deppy. Deppy over to Avery Eugster. Matchett working on the ball here. Looking for the outside help over to Eugster. Tipped away. And the stoppage of play called on Banks.
Another light foul that maybe could have gone either way. Obviously, the Wolves are not happy about it. They've been unhappy with a couple of calls in this game, but that's just how basketball is. You're going to get some calls, you're not going to get some calls. So I think it's more just about bouncing back.
Quick outlet pass there to Matchett, who drills a 3 of his own. 12 points for him in this game.
Really great start for the Wolves, honestly. They're playing well. I like the way they're playing, and I think that if they play this way, they can really bring this game back to close digits.
Here's Cam Banks now. Dishes it out to Sage. Over to Kesey. Bounce pass over to Milton, who draws some contact and gets the N1. Milton back to the free throw line.
There is Milton. He has been the player to watch for the Wolves. He looked so good on that drive. He took a lot of contact on that, still finished it, and maybe can capitalize on this and one here. Great play by Milton.
Milton 0 for 2 so far at the free throw line. Converts the N1, and so the Wolves now find themselves in the 6-point deficit. 16 points for Milton. Engineers passing the ball around as the Wolves kind of changing up their defensive scheme a little bit here. Engbazo with the ball guarded by Milton. Over to Deppy. Back to Engbazo, guarded by Sage. Dish it out of the corner to Avery Eugster, who puts up a 3. Too strong and does not draw anything. Cam Banks now dishes over to Milton, which is quickly intercepted by Matchett. 2-on-2 here. Matchett draws the contact and the foul. So two free throw shots for Matchett here.
Yeah, the fouls, they really need to be limited, especially when you're struggling. The Wolves, that is the one thing that they really need to focus on. I get that you're a smaller team, but if you want to keep this game close, you got to limit those fouls, especially in the paint where you know the Engineers are so dominant.
Matchett makes his first free throw, bumps it up the Engineers' lead to 7. Substitutions made here as number 12, Avery Eugster, and number 33, Pat White, come off and give way to Ben Eugster. .56 left in the second half and in this contest. RPI Engineers up by 8. Sage with the ball, drives it to the lane, makes the layup.
There's that quick offense I'm talking about. That is exactly the type of basket they need every single time. Just speedy around those big defenders.
18 points for Sage. Deppy trying to look for anywhere to go. Dishes it quickly. Now gets it back, and Milton strips the ball and now pushes it forward for the Wolves. Bounce pass over to Sage, who finds Banks. Back inside, and a charging foul is, or a blocking foul rather, is called on number 33, Pat White.
Yeah, the Wolves, they look great in this first half. Nothing like the first half, the first couple minutes of the first half. They're speedy, they're quick, they're agile. And I really like the way they're playing. RPI is still hanging with them, though. They're using those bigs perfectly. But obviously, when you get tired, the quickness is going to beat it every time.
Banks and Kesey get subbed out in exchange for Vandermoral and Tehan. As Sage drives toward the basket, recording 20 points for him. A solid showing for the Owego native. Here's Ben Eugster with the ball now, guarded by Milton. Stripped there by Milton, and a fight for the ball there. And the Wolves, great heads. Gritty play by Devin Milton.
Devin Milton is everywhere on this floor. Wow, he's playing so well. He is keeping the Wolves in this game 100%. He looks great. And no slouch in his own right, Christian Sage, both of these players really keeping it alive for the Wolves.
Keeping it alive here as they're now down by 4 with 14:46 left. As a reaching foul there is called on Deppy.
Great play by the Wolves here. Only down 4 points right now. This is a great basketball game. They look really good right now.
Yeah. Here's Tyler Green now. Loses the pass. And here comes number 41, Andrew Deppy. And Milton gets a touch of the ball and crashes into the wall. And so the Engineers will retain possession.
Yeah, Milton tried to steal. He got it, but just couldn't get it in time. Still, though, way to catch up to that defender and play great defense there. That is what you want from a great player like him.
Deppy working inside, misses on the short shot. Rebound by Ngbazo and puts it back in. Ngbazo's a bit quiet in the second half but records his first points of the second half. Sage with a quick pull-up shot, no good there. Driving down is Scalisi, over to Ngbazo. Over to Deppy. Finds number 34, Ben Eugster. Shot there by Ngbazo, drills the 3. 21 points for the star guard for the Engineers. 3 shot for the Wolves. Misses off the mark. Sage now drives in. Stopped there by 2 Engineer defenders. Milton drives inside. Puts up a short. Comes up short on that little floater. 13:35 left in this contest. Ngbazo working inside at the free throw line. Drives inside. Draws the contact and gets the N1. Ngbazo coming alive now. 23 points for him. Could make it 24 on this N1.
That is exactly what you want from the Engineers. Ngbazo is such a phenomenal player when he is in the paint. Just pure dominance, multiple N1s, and he looks like a real great player right now, and he is holding this Engineers offense.
30:28 left here with Ngbazo with the N1 opportunity and converts it. 61-49 in favor of the Engineers. Timeout there called by the Wolves. An opportunity for Keuka to kind of discuss things over. Wolves down to a 6-point deficit. It has expanded to a 12-point deficit. But for more on the contest here today, we throw it to our sideline report, Brian DeMuro, for what's happening here in Laker Hall. Brian, what you got?
Guys, after Keuka stormed back in the first half here, RPI is out to a 12-point lead now. It's really been Christian Sage and Devin Milton for Keuka. They combined for 36 of the 49 points right now, keeping them in this one. It was a crazy comeback. Right now you're seeing the energy starting to pick up a little bit, though, from the Engineers. They were slow at the end of the first half, a little bit slow to start the second, but a couple late baskets here by Angboza and the rest of these guys. They're starting to get their composure back, turning the ball over a little bit less than they had at the end of that first half. Keuka really got back into this game by switching from that 2-3 zone that they started in into more of like a matchup man. They kind of dropped back into a bit of a zone with a matchup look now again here mid second half. But again, they're right back in this game. Milton and Sage have been unbelievable. Like I said, 20 and 16 points respectively. And it's only a 12-point game here, so it's anyone's game. And we're going to throw it back up to Garrett and Lucas.
Thank you, Brian. Great stuff as always. The Wolves will come out their timeout. 13:27 left here in this contest. The Wolves down by 12. And Luke, as with the Wolves, you know, there's some time left, but as you get toward the latter stages of this game, what do they need to do to at least make this game closer, come out with a win?
I think they really just need to focus on that quickness on defense, especially. The quickness on offense, they look great. But what they need to do is keep those steals up because they've been getting a good bunch of steals on defense, and I really think they need to keep going with that.
That's right. And Milton briefly steps out of bounds, but the Wolves will retain possession. Pulliam now in for the Wolves gives as Cam Banks takes a breather on the bench. Pulliam out to Green. Back to Pulliam. Over to Green. Over to Creek. Van Immortal back to Milton. And called there as great defense there by number 34, Ben Eukster. And so the Engineers will go forward with possession.
Yeah, big foul there. That was a big one. RPI, they really needed that. The Wolves, they look good, and like I said so many times, they've been speedy, and the Engineers, they've been slow a couple times on the chase. And I think a foul like that is definitely what they needed to just slow the pace down of the game.
Vandermoor with his 4th personal foul will head over to the bench as the ball rolls out of bounds, and the Wolves will regain possession.
That's what I was talking about from the Wolves on defense. You want those steals, you want the quick hands onto the ball and nag it while they're trying to shoot.
Here comes Pulliam, who dishes it over to Green. Back to Pulliam. Inside to Kesey. Back to Pulliam. Wolves swing it around here with Milton now on the ball. Pull-up jumper by Milton. Too strong, back off the back rim. And stoppage of play here as Milton goes down on the floor.
That was a nasty landing by Milton. Hope he's okay. He seems to be okay. He's standing, but what a collision by those two. That was true grit for the ball right there. Both of them really going for it. Glad Milton's okay. He's standing. He's good, but that was a nasty fall.
Right in front of the Wolves bench. Second foul committed by Ben Eukster. 12:35 left with Engineers up by 12. Inbound pass to Pulliam. Over to Milton. Inside the arc, missed there by Green. And here, Engineers with the rebound, they push forward. Over to Boateng. Out to Matchett. Matchett with a deep 3. Comes off the front of the rim. Pulliam with the rebound. And here comes the Wolves pressing. Pushing forward is number 14, Tyler Green. Milton now from the top of the arc. Misses on the 3-point attempt. Boateng with the rebound. 11:55 left. Engineers up by 12 still. Boateng guarded by Pulliam. Pulliam commits a foul as number 34, Ben Eugster, was trying to break free, trying to help his brother, Avery Eugster, with the pass.
Yeah, that was a weird foul there. Kind of little, but definitely not something that you want, especially when you don't want those team fouls building up. You don't want free throws at the end of the game, especially when you're still trying to climb back.
Pat White, guard by Pulliam, out to the side. Avery Eugster off the mark on his three-point attempt, and here comes the Wolves pressing forward, Pulliam leading the charge. Christian Sage back in the game, looking to expand on his already impressive 20-point performance. Kesey dishes it over to Creek. Creek kicks it out to Pulliam, wide open for the three. Misses. It hits the top of the backboard, and so the Engineers will go for it with possession with 11-12 left.
A little bit of a stalemate here. Been the same score for a minute or two now. Yeah. Just shots not falling for either team. You got a couple of turnovers. Maybe it's a defensive thing. Both teams are getting tired. The offense are getting tired, which it makes it much easier for the defense to capitalize.
Both teams certainly showing some level of fatigue as they got to channel, dig deep inside the 11-minute mark as Mbazo drives gets his basket. 26 points for him. Sage now bounces pass over to Green. Pulliam over to Greek. Creek with the free jumper from the free throw mark is off the mark. Match it with the ball now, looking for Mbazo, who kicks it out. Quick inside pass to Boateng, who draws some contact by number 25, Kesey. And so Boateng will head to the free throw line.
Great pass there by Mbazo. Found a Boateng deep in the paint. Got it by 2 or 3 defenders. And Boateng goes up with it. And a good foul by the Wolves, but still you can't let stuff like that happen. You don't want those points to build up. The Engineers are slowly building that lead up, and you got to keep it close. You got to lay off those fouls.
Boateng makes the his first free throw rather, for his third point of this contest. Boateng, one of the few players here on the Engineers who missed all of last season due to injury, so they're coming back for this new campaign. Excited to come back. As now the Wolves, now down by 16, try to get some offense mounted here. Sage driving deep into the basket, misses on the layup attempt, and Basel with his rebound. And Basel kicks it out to and finds number 34, Ben Eugster. Ben Eugster with his first points of the game. Big rejection there by Ben Eugster, doing it on both sides of the floor. Very impressive on that sequence.
What a huge block. That is a real game changer right there. You see the momentum. You got the great layup down on the offensive side. The Wolves come back, go for the layup, and a massive, massive block. That is a momentum changer right there.
That's great defense and a great offense shown by the Engineers there as the Wolves now have to respond with 10 minutes left in this game. Pulliam, think about a three, slows down and dishes it over to Tehan. Tehan now over to Green. Green dishes it inside, blocked away by Matchett, and here comes the Engineers. Matchett slows it down, back to Mbazo. Thinking of a three. Slows it down as he's guarded by Pulliam. Back to Mbazo. Over to Boateng. Over to Avery Eugster, who finds Mbazo for the three. Rattles it home. His 29 points for him. And the Wolves will have to talk things over. The lead has now blown up to 21.
Yeah, I feel like in those last couple minutes, something happened. They just fell apart a little bit, and there's nothing you can do about Mbazo. He looked so good. 29 points. He's in the paint. He's knocking down threes. He is doing everything that needs to be done on offense and on defense, getting those boards, grabbing the offensive boards. He looks great so far, and he has been one of the main reasons why the Engineers are now back up by 21.
A great performance by Mbazo, getting some help from other players as well. We talked about Ben Eugster on that offensive-defensive sequence. You're getting contributions from Dylan Matchett, so you have that you get contributions from everyone.
Yeah, they're really they're complementing each other very well right now. Everybody's doing their part, and I think the Wolves, they might be slowing down a little bit, and they're struggling with a couple things on offense, a couple of turnovers that you really don't want to see, and the Engineers capitalize those turnovers and they turn them into points, whether it's an and one on a fast break or they hit the three, and they're outplaying the Wolves again. And I think the Wolves, they got 9:24 left. They're still not out of this game. You still got some time left. You can bring it back very quickly, but they definitely need to make some changes once again.
The Wolves will certainly have to go on that run within the closing moments of this game. They closed out the first half. Strong offensive skill set where they were just utilizing their speed, opening lanes. We haven't seen that much right now. It was basically the second half has been the Christian Sage saga. We haven't seen much from Milton over the last few minutes. Hopefully we see more of Milton here in the final 9:24.
Yeah, I think you don't want to rely on them, but I think when it comes down to the final few minutes, Milton, Sage, you really want them to score points.
Here's Polium. And inside pass to Milton. Milton draws some contact and makes it here. We talked about Milton, how we need to get going. Gets it going here now. 18 points for him.
Yeah, that's a great start. That's exactly what you want to see from him, and I think he can really get going here.
Matchett with his 14 points has the ball as we approach under the 9-minute mark here. Scalisi finds Engbazo. Good inside pass to Boateng using his height and makes a simple, banks it in for the layup. 6 points for Boateng. Sage, 3-point shot. Off the mark there. Engbazo with the rebound. Engbazo inside pass to Matchett. Spinorama and makes the layup. 16 points for Matchett. Sage trying to respond, and the Wolves trying to keep this Engineers run in check. Milton guarded by 3 Engineer defenders. Drives inside is number 20, Tehan. Loses the ball, quickly recovered by Sage. 3-point shot here and makes it. Christian Sage, 23 points for him as he tries to get the Wolves within striking distance. 8 minutes left. RPI up by 20. Timeout here by the Wolves.
I noticed on that last offensive drive, they double-teamed Milton, and that is such a smart thing. When your team is up by 20, you can afford to double-team Milton. Let one of the less offensive guys take a shot, because when Milton is not open, he's got to pass it away, and when he only has Sage to pass it to right now, those have been the top scorers so far. Not really much from the rest of the team. So when you double Milton, he's got to dish it out to someone, and I know the Engineers would love to have someone else shoot it, because Milton has been shooting, and he's been shooting great. So is Sage. So as long as the ball's not in Milton or Sage's hands, the Engineers have a really great shot at just holding this lead and cruising to a W.
Basically, the game plan in the final 7:58 in this game: contain Milton and contain Sage.
Yeah,
because we haven't seen any contributions from the rest of the guys. Hopefully that changes here, because with the Wolves, you're kind of reaching that point where you're down by 20. You gotta think of something right now.
Yeah, absolutely. You gotta find that third guy that's there when Sage and Milton can't get the ball up, and that third guy is going to be crucial when it comes down to the final minutes. And maybe you bring this game back, and when Milton's covered on that final shot, you gotta have someone else that can take that shot.
That is certainly right, because if you look at the Engineers, we kind of talked about their height earlier in the game, kind of just how it lends them into offensive advantage, but now the defensive advantage is starting to show here.
Yeah, no, the offensive and defensive sides both been great for the Engineers. Those bigs have really shown out so far.
Absolutely. Inbound pass as now Scalisi with the ball. Over to Pat White. Pat White guarded by 2 Wolves defenders. Back over to Scalisi. Draws some contact. And we'll get 2 free throw shots here.
Yeah, too many fouls by the Wolves. I think that's been a big problem. They might be getting a little sloppy on defense, might be getting a little emotional. You're down by 20. That's probably part of it. And it's going to cost you when RPI starts hitting free throws.
Christian Sage with his first foul of the contest. First free throw made there by Scalisi. 75-54 in favor of the Engineers. 2 of 2 from the free throw line. 76-54 as the Wolves now down by 22, trying to make this closer with Milton leading the charge again. Over to Banks. Sage with the ball, quickly double team. Quickly over to Sage. Spin Rama, great block there by the Engineers defense.
Very
Courtesy
smart by
of
the
number
Engineers. Slow down
Easter.
that offense.
Yep. And Bazo dishes it out to White. White with the ball now. Quickly tipped by Milton. Boateng recovers, drives inside. Draws some contact, and referee will call a travel on Boateng.
Yeah, not enough contact there, and he took a couple steps. Obviously, he might have been trying to go for a foul. He might have been trying to draw that foul. Ref wasn't having it that time, so called the travel. Good call by the ref there.
7:07 left here in this game 1 of the Maxio tournament between the RPI Engineers and the Keuka College Wolves. Milton with the ball now, over to Banks. Banks dishes aside to Sage, quickly stopped there. Milton working on Bazo. Mid-range jumper off the mark, short. Banks with the rebound. Here's Sage now, driving inside, kick back out to Vandermoral. 3-point shot off the mark. And now foul is called on Deppy there, so it looks like Vandermoral will have 3 free throw shots here.
These are big three free throws. Sorry about that. You got no time. The time's not running out, and you can get 3 points right here and maybe just start to slowly crawl back. You don't have too much time, but you still got time. 6:30 left. Any team could come back from this. Any team with enough heart and enough determination, they can come back. It just takes a couple of plays, and all of a sudden you're back in this game.
Vandermoral makes the first and misses the second. 6 points for Vandermoral. Pat White comes out of the game with Dylan Matchett coming back onto the floor. And so Vandermoral, 1 for 3 on that free throw opportunity. Huge lob pass to number 12, Avery Euchster, who makes that layup. Heads up play by Angbazo. Sage over Vandermoral, back to Sage. Kicks out to Banks, over to Milton. Milton drives it side. Over to layup, right over Angbazo. Milton with 20 points here in this contest. Engineers working from their own half, trying to press forward. Screen set on Sage, and Bazo now with the ball, passes over to Scalisi. Pass inside to Matchett. Simple layup. Could not be easier for him. 80-57 in favor of the Engineers with 5:45 left. Sage, deep three-pointer. Off the mark there. And Bazo with the rebound. And Bazo guarded by Banks. Over to Matchett. Matchett over to Scalisi. Over to Angbazo, drives inside. 31 points for Angbazo. And so once again, the Wolves have to talk things out. 5:20 left. This game is looking like it's coming out of reach.
Yeah, that was too easy for Angbazo, and I think with the time running down, the Wolves, you got to say something, but they got to figure something out here.
Certainly got to figure out something here, but let's go back to our side reporter, Brian DeMuro, for what's been going on and what to look forward to in this final 5:20 left. Brian,
Thank you, Garrett. Yeah, Johnny Angbazo is a player I want to highlight right now. He's got 31 points for RPI, an absolute stud, grad student from Tenafly, New Jersey, actually pretty close to my hometown. He has been absolutely balling today. He is one of their best players, if not their best, after a great season he had last year. Starting off this one on the right track as well with 31. Also, number 32, Dylan Matchett. He's a sophomore guard from Milford, Connecticut. He piled on 18 as well. And both of them right now are helping RPI get out to this big lead here. They've kind of pulled away here late in the second half. The fans have definitely packed it in here to Ziel Gymnasium. This is game 1 of a doubleheader. Coming up after this, we do have the Oswego State Lakers and the SUNY Poly Wildcats. Be sure to stay tuned for that. But as we mentioned here, RPI seems to have pulled away with it on the back of Johnny Angbazo along with Dylan Matchett. I'm going to send it back up to Garrett and Lucas for the rest of the second half.
Thank you, Brian. Great to hear from you as always. And Luke, I feel like I'm going to sound like a broken record, but what do the Wolves have to do in the final 5:20 left?
Honestly, at this point, I think it's up to Jake Scott. I couldn't tell you what's going on. I've made some suggestions, and the Engineers, they're still beating them pretty much in every play. So Jake Scott might cook something up, but we'll have to see.
Milton drives into the lane, misses on the attempt as he tries to get a shot over Scalisi. Now here's Matchett over Angbazo. Angbazo working from the outside over to Depi. Tip pass there by Vandermortel. Engineers will have possession with 16 left on the shot clock.
Yeah, time's running down. You might get a little frantic for the Wolves. The best thing for them, stay calm. You still want to be quick, you still want to be fast, but you got to stay calm.
Quick outside pass there to Matchett. Corner three, off the mark. Banks with the rebound. Quick pass over to Sage. Sage, met by Matchett. Gets the layup over. 82-59 in favor of the Engineers. 4:40 left in the second half. Sage with the tip, gets the ball. Kicks it out to Vandermortel. Over to Banks. Banks drives inside and misses the wide open layup. Avery Euchster with the rebound. Scalisi out, dishes it out. Over to White. White over to Euchster. Euchster drives in, makes the layup. 84-59. Quick steal there momentarily by number 41, Depi. Wolves retain possession. Deep three here by Vandermortel. 9 points for him with 3:33 left in this contest. As we approach the final 3 minutes of this contest, Luke, it was basically all Angbazo for the Engineers. Just an impressive performance overall for him.
Yeah, absolutely. Angbazo, he has been all over the court, whether it was dishing out a pass, getting those rebounds, or obviously scoring points. He has been absolutely everywhere.
Shot there by number 23, Scalisi was missed, and it was a quick rebound and basket for Depi. 86-62 in favor of Engineers. Under 3 minutes left in the game. Deep three by Vandermortel. He makes a second straight threes for him. Bumps up his point total to 12. Matchett with the ball now guarded by Sage. Tipped away by Milton, and here comes Milton now. Slowly to Sage. Sage driving in. Quick pass inside to Tehan, who misses, who was off the mark on that basket. Euchster inside to Depi. Depi to Angbazo. Angbazo drives in. Kicks it out to Matchett. Matchett 4-3. Misses. Depi with the rebound. And Euchster corrals it. Angbazo and the Red Engineers reset as he drives into the lane. Misses on the layup attempt. And the Wolves will now move forward with possession as a timeout here is called with 1:59 left.
Yeah, really smart by the Engineers. They're playing it very, very conservative, very slow, that offense, taking their time every possession, and I think that they're going to come away this win. It looks like they got it pretty much in the bag, but anything can happen. But the Engineers, they played really well this game.
Engineers will close out the final 2 minutes like it's a walk in the park, walking your platypus, if you have one at home. Either way, the Wolves will now march forward, losing possession. It's number 0, Kobe Shriver, as the Wolves will now just put out their C team, basically.
Yeah, you got to get them the playing time. Sorry, excuse me, but yeah, it's a good job.
Engineers with the ball now, and now his whole team as number 5, Fargnett throws it down. That is the exclamation point here for the Engineers, 1:33 left, and it's really now all Engineers at this point. Quick quarter pass out to Temple. Temple out to Jackson. 3-point shot here. In and out. 1:15 left as the Engineers will just wind out the clock here. 88-65. It was been all Engineers. Basically the second half. You know, you thought that the Wolves, with their resurgence in the latter stages of the first half, you thought they would come back. Unfortunately, nothing to show for it here.
Yeah, no, they really played well at the end of that first half, and then they came out strong in the first half, and then it almost looked like they just collapsed. The Engineers, they just really overpowered them in the middle of the half, and then now at the later minutes of the half, they got overpowered throughout the second half, and no fault of their own. The Engineers, they're a great team, and Bazo is a fantastic player. Tons of big, strong guys on the Engineers team, and the Wolves just couldn't handle it.
One of the big guys on the team, probably one of the larger guys on this team, Robert Jordan, at the free throw line. Misses his first free throw, but makes the second, bumping up the Engineers' point total to 89 as we are under a minute left here. And as Lucas, as we look forward to what we have in store in terms of the Max Ziel tournament, it's safe to say that RPI, they will be playing in that championship game tomorrow night at 7 p.m. As for the Wolves, they'll be playing against the Constellation game as we await the outcome of the Oswego State Lakers and the SUNY Powell Wildcats contest going on later on.
Yeah, absolutely. If I'm the Lakers or the Wildcats, I'm worried that when I win this game, I have to take on the Engineers because the Engineers look like an elite college basketball team right now.
Final 25 seconds left as the Engineers will just milk out the clock here. Shot fake there, drives inside. Great block there by number 21, Zach Beeler. Drives inside, number 5 kicks it out. Amar Jackson kicks it out. Over to CJ Temple. 3 by Obunts, and he makes it. 89-70 with 6.7 seconds left, and now pretty much do it here inside the Max Ziel Gymnasium. Game 1 of the Max Ziel tournament in the books. RPI establishing dominance early on, saw a resurgence by the Wolves, but at the end of the day, they have come out of this game with a 19-point margin victory.
That is exactly what you want in a tournament like this. You only got 2 games, game 1 down, win by 19. Lakers, Wildcats right now, but tomorrow, whoever the Engineers play, that team, it's going to be in the back of their mind that the Engineers played phenomenal. And whoever plays the Engineers, they're going to want to check on Ngbazo. Whoever is your best defender, whoever's your best big, you want him on Ngbazo because 31 points is special. First game of the season, dropping 31 points. You don't just do that unless you are an absolutely elite level player. So whoever takes on the Engineers in tomorrow's game is really going to want to check on Ngbazo. And all the bigs in general, because everyone played phenomenally on their Engineers.
We talked about it. All the bigs here. Ngbazo, of course, 31 points. They'll imagine huge three-pointers throughout the game, 18 points for him. So if you're the Lakers or the Wildcats, if you're looking ahead to tomorrow with the championship game, you got to watch out for a multitude of offensive weapons because there's so much that the Engineers can hit you with. You really got to prepare for what will be an entertaining contest in the championship game tomorrow night. But that does it for us here for now for Game 1 of the Max Ziel tournament. Once again, the Engineers will be moving on to the championship game, awaiting the outcome of the Lakers and the Wildcats, which will be brought to you shortly. But for now, we'll throw it back to the guys in the studio for their recap of the game and also a preview of what to expect for the Lakers as they start the new campaign after coming off a SUNY title. You're watching Max Ziel tournament right here on WTOP 10.
Thank you, Garrett. Thank you, Lucas. We welcome you back inside the Al Roker studio. And what a way to start off the weekend. RPI advancing all the way to the Max Ziel Gymnasium Invitational Tournament, 89-70, with a dominating win over Keuka Wolves. And guys, just real quick before we get on out of here, run me through a little bit about the game.
Well, we talked a lot about that first half and how RPI got up to a strong start. Well, in the second half, it was Keuka getting off to a strong start. They kept the game close for probably the first 8 minutes of that second half. Then both teams really went on a scoring drought. You really didn't see a lot of scoring for a good chunk of that middle of that second half. And then all of a sudden, it was all RPI at the later stages of that half.
Yeah, and like you mentioned, that scoring drought, in about a 5-minute span, Keuka only had 8 points scored in those 5 minutes, which was a huge drought for Keuka, and part of the reason why RPI was able to run up the lead again and close it from a 6-point lead and end up winning with a 19-point lead.
Absolutely leading the way for the Engineers was Johnny Angbazo. With 31, he finished with, and I'm not just going to toot my horn a little bit. He just named him as maybe the slam dunk player to watch the tournament, but whatever. But 31 leads the team. So far the highest in the tournament. We'll have to see if anybody for the Lakers or for SUNY Poly winds up knocking that off. But having a player like that at the front end that could find the back of the net like he did, I mean, or the bottom of the net, just absolutely dominated. We see some highlights just throughout from both sides, but really stood out there as one of the better players on the court.
Yeah, look, they lost their top player in Don Blacko in this year, so it was Johnny Angbazo's turn to step up as a grad student. It's his final year. He wanted to start it off right, and he did that. 30 points. He was a 12 per game scorer last year. You got to think that's going up this year.
Absolutely, Kyle.
Yeah, I mean, jumping from 12 per game last year and then opening game of your grad season, you go out and put 31, and like Jake said, his slam dunk player, and he was dunking out there as well. He was hitting slam dunks at the end of the game. I mean, RPI really just ran it through him, like we mentioned they had to do, and it worked out great. The off-the-ball movement, it focused Keuka's defense on Angbazo, which allowed other players like Matchett to get open, who had 18 points of his own this match, and a lot of them were coming from three-pointers. They were raining it down from behind the arc.
Yeah, and of course, too, for Keuka, we saw Devin Milton really kind of take over for his team, led the team and a lot just down the second half of the game. God, I gotta get my words out. We have a whole other broadcast to do. I gotta get my words out. But yeah, Devin Milton really kind of led this Wolves team, and so Brian, I'll kind of ask you the question. The Wolves, they get kind of dominated here today. What looked good for Keuka?
I mean, you mentioned Devin Milton looked good for Keuka. 20 per game scorer last year, and it looks like he's going to be doing that just again this year. He was ball dominant, both on the ball with excellent scoring, excellent passing, and just excellent dribbling. Off the ball, great movement as well. And I think his teammates need to take a page out of his book, and especially with the off-the-ball movement, to open up the offense for him, but also so he can pass the ball, get those assists, and his teammates can get open shots as well.
Absolutely. Kyle, what stood out for you for RPI today?
For RPI, really just their ability to cut through the paint and just cut through the offensive zone, really. Keuka couldn't stop them. Their movement was so good the entire game that the misdirections and getting screens going, it was really catching Keuka players on each other, getting them stalled up would then allow a second of space for an RPI player. And a second may not seem like a lot, but as we know in sports, a second makes all the difference in whether your shot's going in the net or if it's getting sent into the crowd.
Absolutely, it does. 89-70 is your final score in the game one of our doubleheader tonight. But don't go anywhere, because here's what's about to happen here, folks. So we're going to cut this stream off right here. And we're going to be done with this. You're going to want to go back to our YouTube channel and find what is titled Game 2. You see it right there, Oswego versus SUNY Poly. Click on that. We're going to be back as soon as we possibly can here. We're going to work very quickly, and you're going to see the three of us back here. Full coverage of our second game, the Lakers and SUNY Poly, coming up. So make sure to stick around here in just 5 short minutes, because we're coming right back to you here on WTOP 10.